Hello, everyone. Welcome to this new webinar. We're here with attorney Ruby Powers from Powers Law Group, and we're going to talk to you about circumventing lawful pathways. Ruby, she is board certified immigration and nationality attorney. She has been licensed since 2008, and she founded the firm in November of 2009. So, Ruby, the word is yours.
Thank you, Maria. So this is something that came about after Title 42 ended, and we were grateful that Title 42 was ending. It sort of signaled the the end of the pandemic, I guess, if you will. And then we saw that it's very restrictive. The circumvention of lawful pathways final rule took effect of May 11th, 2023. So when individuals come to me and they say, I entered on this day, I'm looking for this day. I'm looking to see, is it before or after this day, to find out whether or not circumvention of lawful pathways applies. So it was issued by DHS and Department of Homeland Security and Department of Justice to encourage migrants to use safe, orderly, lawful pathways. Which is basically saying that they wanted them to use the CBP1 app, which went away as of early, mid-January of 2025 under the Trump administration. But even with the app, it was difficult to get an appointment, for the technology to work, and there was a lot of issues with it. So they were trying to discourage what they call irregular entries. It applies, so the rule imposes conditions, creates a rebuttable presumption of ineligibility for asylum, saying you're not eligible for asylum if you don't meet these, if you entered after this date, unless you have one of these very narrow exceptions or rebuttals. It applies to the individuals who entered via the Southwest land border or adjacent coastal borders. It's time limited for those 2 years, 24 months, 2 years, and it presumes ineligibility for asylum without a lawful process. So let's go into a little bit more about what that means in terms of some of the conditions and exceptions. So if a non-citizen is presumed to be ineligible for asylum if they, 1, entered at the Southwest land border, or 2, entered without inspection, or 3, traveled through another country, which it's pretty much has to happen if you're not from Mexico to travel through another country to get through the Southwest border, and have not pursued a lawful alternatives, which a lot of people are not eligible for and didn't have options to do so, or were in a rush and didn't have the time, the ability to do so. These conditions trigger a rebuttable presumption of asylum ineligibility unless certain exceptions apply. So these are the exceptions. Sounds really complicated, but what they're basically saying is that if you came through the border not irregularly, what they mean is like illegally without having CBP1 or some of these other exceptions, then you're not eligible for asylum. There might be, and the best you could possibly get is withholding of removal, which we know under the Trump administration, withholding of removal means you might be deported to some other country like South Sudan or Bosnia or something like that. So, but you can, if you can prove an exception to this, then you might be able to still be eligible for asylum. So you must not have used any existing lawful process or parole mechanism. You did not present via scheduled CBP1 app. You didn't apply for and denied asylum in a transit country, and presumption can be rebutted with exceptionally compelling circumstances. So here we go into some of those exceptions and rebuttals. So it says if the exceptions can include for the unaccompanied minors, so those are the unaccompanied minors, they're under 18 and they're not coming with anyone else. For Mexican nationals, well, they're pretty much Mexican nationals are probably the only individuals who can enter without going through another country. But anyway, exceptions. Those granted parole under the DHS approved process. But even then, it's gotten a little bit confusing because some of the people who applied for asylum affirmatively have gotten their cases just dismissed. And then individuals who use CBP1 or can prove an ability to use it. So basically, if you enter through the border at May 11, 2023 to May 11, 2025, and you use CBP1 app, you don't have to worry about this. but a lot of people didn't know about it. It was only in a few languages, and the tech was really difficult, especially in the beginning. And so, anyway, there's a lot of reasons why some people didn't know about it or use it. And that if they were exceptions include individuals denied asylum in a third country. In the absence of these exceptions, applicants may rebut via exceptionally compelling circumstances. So they're saying, like, if you don't meet one of those exceptions, you can also potentially try to rebut this by saying that there were some other compelling circumstances, like an acute medical emergency, like, I don't know, you're having a heart attack or something extreme, and you had to, I mean, some people are having high risk pregnancies or some complication, some type of imminent harm or severe trafficking victimization. So anyway, what has happened is that the goal of it was to make it very difficult for people to be eligible for asylum. If you have withholding at the highest availability, that only helps you individually. It doesn't help your spouse and your minor children. Each individual would have to win their own withholding. So everyone would have to have their own 589 application. So the goal was to manage the anticipated increase in entries after they got rid of Title 42. They were trying to keep slowing down that entry at the border, and they were trying to funnel people into lawful pathways. Well, I mean, in theory, it sounds good, but in practice, it really didn't work that way. It still became very difficult for individuals to have an appointment, waiting for it. And then in January, when Trump went into office, 2025, they discontinued it. And now there's a program called CBP Home instead of CBP One. So the overall strategy was to, they said, expand lawful, safe, orderly pathways. But again, it became difficult to do so. Really, the big point for attorneys and individuals is if you entered without the CBP One app and you're not one of those other exceptions like unaccompanied minor or Mexican, things like that, then you need to make sure that you can, one of these other exceptions apply to you, or you can find a rebuttal, like we mentioned about the imminent harm, medical emergency, or severe trafficking victimization. So, and because if you can't meet one of those exceptions or those rebuttals, then the highest you could possibly maybe even get is withholding. And even in the Trump era right now, that's not safe. That's not good enough, unfortunately. So this is the concern. And in reality, it adds a whole nother layer to a hearing because you have to put all this proof and evidence and explain why you meet the exception or the rebuttal. So this was just a brief overview about circumventing lawful pathways. It's a very technical concept, but it's hurting people's opportunity to apply to succeed with asylum. And since May 11, 2023 to May 11, 2025, it went into effect. And since then, there have been a lot less crossings since it went into effect and afterwards. But it also means that there's less people eligible for asylum, unfortunately. So here at Powers Law Group, we can help guide you through the process, and we do have multiple attorneys who help in immigration court and detained court, and we have a lot of asylum expertise as well. We speak multiple languages, and we want to be there to help guide you through this process. Feel free to give us a call at 713-589-2085 if you have any questions. We're also on Facebook, X, Blue Sky, Instagram, TikTok, and we have a newsletter in English and Spanish every other week. So this is, we are getting towards the end of our August webinars, but we still have defending your case in immigration court and VAWA protections. So thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Please feel free to share this with a friend, give us a call, and let us know if you have any questions. Thanks.